Oh gosh, Good evening. We'll start with the prayer for the spreading of the teachings throughout the length and breadth of the West. By the force of the blessings of the non-fallacious three precious gems and the truth of our pure selfless wishes, may the precious Buddha's teachings flourish and spread to the expanse of all areas throughout the length and breadth of the West. For all the people living there, together with their near ones who have engaged in the teachings and have faith and respect for them, may all conditions adverse to their practice of the pure Dharma be dispelled, and an excellent collection of favorable conditions increase like the waxing moon. And especially for those who work on methods to accomplish the flourishing and spreading of the victorious one's teachings, which are the source of benefit and happiness, may they never be oppressed by masses of interference and adverse conditions, and may this spontaneously happen just as we had hoped and wished. The Heart Sutra. Thus have I heard once, the Blessed One was dwelling in the royal domain of Vulture Peak Mountain, together with a big gathering of great monks and great bodhisattvas. At that time, the Blessed One entered the Samadhi, which examines the Dharmas called profound illumination, and at the same time, noble Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, looking at the profound practice of transcendent knowledge, saw the five skandhas in their natural emptiness. Then, through the inspiration of the Buddha, Venerable Shariputra said to Avalokiteshvara, "How should those noble ones learn who wish to follow the profound practice of transcendent knowledge?" And Avalokiteshvara answered, "Venerable Shariputra, whoever wishes to follow the profound practice of transcendent knowledge should look at it like this, seeing the five skandhas and their natural emptiness. Form is empty, emptiness itself is form. Emptiness is not separate from form. Form is not separate from emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discriminating awareness, compositional factors, and consciousness are empty. Thus, all the dharmas are empty and have no characteristics. They are unborn and unceasing. They are not impure or pure. They neither decrease nor increase. Therefore, since there is emptiness, there is no form, no feeling, no discriminating awareness, no compositional factors, no consciousness, no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no appearance, no sound, no smell, no taste, no sensation, no objects of mind, no quality of sight, no quality of hearing, no quality of smelling, no quality of tasting, no quality of sensing, no quality of thought, no quality of mind consciousness. There are no nidanas from ignorance to old age and death, nor their wearing out. There's no suffering, no cause of suffering, no ending of suffering, and no path, no wisdom, no attainment, no non-attainment. Therefore, since there is no attainment, the bodhisattvas abide by means of transcendent knowledge. And so there is no obscurity of mind. They have no fear, they transcend falsity and pass beyond the bounds of sorrow. All the Buddhas who dwell in the past, present, and future by means of transcendent knowledge, fully and clearly awaken to unsurpassed, true, complete enlightenment. Therefore, the mantra of transcendent knowledge, the mantra of deep insight, the unsurpassed mantra, the unequaled mantra, the mantra which calms all suffering should be known as truth, for there is no deception. In transcendent knowledge, the mantra is proclaimed, Tayata Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhisvaha. O Shariputra, this is how a Bodhisattva Mahasattva should learn profound transcendent knowledge. Then the Blessed One arose from that Samadhi and praised the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Avalokiteshvara, saying, Good, O son of noble family, profound transcendent knowledge should be practiced just as you have taught, and the Tathagatas will rejoice. When the Blessed One had said this, Shariputra and Avalokiteshvara That whole gathering and the world with its gods, humans, asuras, and Gandharvas, their hearts full of joy, praise the words of the Blessed One. Now to take refuge and generate bodhicitta. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go to refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind intent on full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind intent on full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind intent on full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. So, we have just had the visit of Ling Rinpoche at the Tibet Center for the last 3 days. He arrived, he spent yesterday, 2 nights. Monday. He arrived on Monday, Tuesday, and he left this morning. It was a very auspicious visit because it was the first visit of Rinpoche since the world was turned upside down by COVID, and since the passing of Chunglen Rinpoche. And we've been following the instructions of Ling Rinpoche and in the direction that the center is going in, and it was therefore very nice to welcome him and it was an extraordinary auspicious blessing to have Rinpoche come and spend some time with us. Rinpoche taught the foundation of all excellence, Tsongkhapa's inspiring poem on the steps that have to be taken along the path to enlightenment, and his showing how these steps are really inspired by a teacher, inspired by one's Lama. And he took us step by step, as we will do. We'll go over these steps tonight. And then he gave us the oral transmission in praise of dependent arising, the poem that Tsongkhapa composed, expressing his wonder, his delight at the Buddha's teaching on dependent arising. The dependence is the essential meaning of emptiness. The dependence is the ultimate quality of phenomena, is the necessary quality that phenomena must possess in order to exist. And so Rinpoche gave us these two teachings, one in the form of an actual explanation, the other in the form of an oral blessing. It's considered, I can't say that I really understand how this works, but when you receive an oral transmission, it's considered to be like a blessing or a potential to actually bring whatever the teaching is to life within one. It's like a seed. And though, of course, if you study and you work at understanding something, you're going to understand it far better than from the mere oral transmission. But the oral transmission is meant to provide some quality of clarity and understanding, as it is this. You are receiving a lineage of the sound of a teaching that is unbroken from the teacher through many generations of teachers to yourself. So the foundation of all excellence is a teaching that Ling Rinpoche also gave us the oral transmission, but along with the oral transmission, he gave us the explanatory transmission. In other words, it wasn't that he was merely explaining it. It was that his explanation is a lineage that comes from teacher to teacher to teacher to teacher, down through generations to us, from Tsongkhapa all the way to us. Both of these transmissions, Rinpoche said he had received from His Holiness the Dalai Lama on many occasions. And so this is, we can consider it to be an authentic and powerful blessing. So the foundation of all excellence, the kind Reverend Lama is the foundation of all excellence. Seeing that dependence on him is the root of the path, may I rely on him with great respect and continuous effort. Now, this is this is really from the start demonstrating the importance of someone to guide one, someone to inspire one, someone to keep one on a track in a correct way. We can, of course, as I said earlier, learn a lot from reading and working at understanding something, but in order to actually have the teachings become part of one, to practice these teachings, to bring them to life, one really needs someone who has brought them to life within himself or herself, and who can thereby inspire and thereby guide one in one's practice, in cultivating the qualities that the teaching is meant to be bringing about. And so Tsongkhapa starts with this verse in which he is talking about the importance of relying on a teacher. Now, it's very important to have a qualified teacher. It's very important to scrutinize the teacher to ensure that he or she really has the qualifications necessary for being a teacher. And there are definitions of those qualifications, and they're very high standards that are to be met according to Tsongkhapa in his teachings on this, explanation of this. It's quite impossible to find someone who meets all the criteria. However, it is said that at this time, if you find a teacher, I think that one can say that someone who practices what he or she teaches, I think that that's an essential one, and it puts most people out of the bidding. I think few people really practice what they teach properly. But I think that's an important criterion. As we are familiar with, if we're familiar with Lamrim, most of us are involved in the affairs of this life. And of the three levels of practitioner, the lesser scope practitioner, the medium scope, and the highest scope, the lesser scope practitioner is working towards not satisfying himself or herself within this life, but is working towards a better life in the future, recognizing that the affairs of this life really will eventually lead one to, if we involve ourselves in simply wishing to satisfy our desire for happiness in this life, that's really setting ourselves up for not a very good future. If our life is devoted to attaining a better life in the future, that's the lowest standard of a true spiritual practitioner, to not be devoted to the affairs of this life, to not have them be our priority, to be our goal, to be our aim, but to be working towards attaining a better life in the future. That's the first criterion. That's the lowest of the three scopes of spiritual practitioners. And that would be one necessary criterion for in a teacher. The second is that one would be devoted to others rather than oneself, that one's priority would not be a concern with oneself, it would be a concern with others. So these two, as well as that one is not engaging in teaching for money or for one's own comfort, these would be the criteria, the sort of lowest level of criteria for someone to be considered qualified as a teacher. But it's still really important. It is truly incumbent upon one to scrutinize over a period of time to ensure that one's teacher is qualified. We can become infatuated with someone. We can hear someone speak and they have a certain charm, and we can feel, oh, this person I like. That's not good enough. That's not really a proper scrutiny. Everyone is going to tell us that their teacher is great, and that's also not a criterion. We cannot simply rely on our friend's opinion. We have to determine that this person is qualified, meets the criteria necessary, and that we have some kind of a let's call it a karmic connection, that we where we feel a certain inspiring quality from the person, because it is that inspiring quality that will lead us along. However, we should not imagine such inspiring qualities. We should really make sure that there are the qualities, the true spiritual qualities that are necessary in a teacher. And that's something that we should be willing to do over a long period of time. It is said that one should be willing to scrutinize one's teacher for up to 12 years before entering into the real teacher-student relationship. And that's it's not that it's necessary to wait 12 years before doing it, but it is necessary to scrutinize well enough that if it were to take 12 years, one would be willing to do that. That's important because the teacher-student relationship is one that is it is a total it becomes a total commitment to a process, to a path, and to a trust in someone who is leading us along a process or a path. And it's not a path. It's not, like following a map on one's way to I don't know, from here to you said Ithaca. It's really you're going off the map, and you're going. It's sort of uncharted, and the teacher, because though we talk about the graded stages of the path to enlightenment, there is a sort of general procedure that is followed. We are each struggling with our afflictive emotions. We are each struggling with the obstacles that appear due to our own past actions, our own karma, and to navigate those is a totally individual process. And the teacher leads us through that process, through that totally individual path. And so it is that relationship is one that demands a certain. We are entrusting ourselves to this knowledgeable, compassionate being who cares more about us than they do about themselves, who cares more about their future life than they do about this particular life, and who is not engaged in the process of teaching out of any wish for personal reward. So it's important to scrutinize. It's important to take one's time. However, it is this teacher who then inspires us along the stages of the path. And the foundation of all excellence, Tsongkhapa is following the different aspects of the path to enlightenment. And each aspect of that path, Tsongkhapa is requesting that his teachers guide him along, inspire him to be able to continue along this path. And that's what this poem is. And as we consider it, as we read it, as we contemplate it, we are also asking our teachers to help us, to inspire us along our practice along the way. A human life with leisure is obtained this once, understanding that it is very important and hard to find. May I produce unceasingly the mind that takes up its essence day and night. So in order to, so this poem is written really from the point of view of a Mahayana practitioner, a practitioner seeking to attain full enlightenment in order to help all sentient beings. In order to practice along the path, in order to make our way towards the attainment of enlightenment, in order to really help all sentient beings, we need a human life. If we look at the animals around us, if we look at the other insects, the other forms of life, we can see that they may be sweet and they may be cuddly and they may be all sorts of things, and they may be able to help us, providing us with milk and providing sort of the labor. I mean, I've been living in a place where oxen are used to plow the fields. So animals play a role in society, are helpful to human beings in all sorts of ways. But animals do not have the ability to think the way we do, don't have the ability to apply techniques by which they can evolve emotionally, or what we could call spiritually. That's I mean, they can be very sweet and they can be kind and they can be helpful, but it's not that they have the ability to think that, or to work on themselves, to work at improving themselves. We have that ability. And that's very precious. We have the ability to recognize right from wrong. We have the ability to recognize that we have done something wrong and to refrain from it and to work towards doing something better. We have those abilities that animals don't. And it is that ability that is so precious to us humans. And so a human life with leisure is obtained this once. We have this opportunity. Now, we don't, it's not that that being humans is something that we can take for granted. Due to all sorts of good actions in the past, we have merited to be human beings. If we look at ourselves, I think that if we think that the cut between, let's say, virtue and we have someone leaving. If we look at devoting ourselves, putting effort into ourselves as opposed to putting effort into helping others, if we check our own selves, if we see what motivates us in our daily lives, we will see that most of our efforts are devoted to pleasing ourselves. Yes, we may help someone a little bit, but most of our effort is selfish, is self-cherishing, is self-centered. A little bit, we may have a little bit of compassion, we may have a little bit of generosity, we may have a little bit of concern for others, but essentially we are devoting our efforts to ourselves. The causes for being born a human would be to really be generous, to be kind, to be acting in an ethically correct way. And if we really check ourselves, we scrutinize ourselves, we can see that there really isn't much in the way of valid causes for having a rebirth as a human being. We are probably destined for a less good rebirth if we really check our behavior in this life. I'm sorry to sound sort of pessimistic about things, but I mean, if I'm honest about myself, I have to recognize that the chances of being reborn as a human being are pretty slim, because I'm a pretty selfish, self-centered person, and so if we recognize how precious this life is, if we recognize how difficult it is to attain, and we do that by looking at our actions and seeing that so much of what we're doing is not going to send us in the direction of a human rebirth, we can see that we must have done a lot of wonderful virtuous actions to merit this. And that they've all come together for this life. Seeing it that way should really inspire us to make use of this opportunity, to really devote it to the practice by which we can actually merit to be born a human being again. So, a human life with leisure is obtained this once, understanding that it is very important and hard to find. May I produce unceasingly the mind that takes up its essence day and night. And so when it says, may I produce unceasingly, it's really asking our Lama, our teacher, to help us produce unceasingly this mind that takes up the potential that a human life provides. The fluctuation of life is like a bubble of water. Remember death, for we perish so quickly. After death, the effects of black and white karma pursue us as the shadow follows the body. And here, though we may be human beings, and though we may have this opportunity to really make beneficial, virtuous effort, this life is fleeting. This life is every moment it's getting shorter. We have no guarantee that we'll be born, that we'll be alive tomorrow. We have no. Good night. We have no guarantee that we'll be alive 10 minutes from now. I was recently in Taiwan, and I was on my way to the airport to come back here, and there was an earthquake, and the whole road swayed. We were not harmed, but many people died. A number of people were hurt. None of them expected that. It just happened like that. So life is like a bubble of water. We have no idea what could. I got back to America, and I was sitting here in this house, and the whole house started wobbling. And I thought maybe I should go outside, but like an idiot, I stayed in my room and thought this is a wooden house and it'll sway like that. And then I got on the train and took the train into New York City through the tunnel. And I thought, gosh, if that really rumbled, the tunnel could collapse. And it could. So once we die, what determines where we are reborn is how we've behaved, is the virtuous actions we've engaged in, as opposed to the non-virtuous actions we've engaged in, and it's the virtuous actions that lead us to a better future life, and it's the non-virtuous ones that lead us to a suffering existence. Finding certainty in this, may I always be careful to do only virtuous deeds and abandon even the slightest non-virtuous actions. Now, here, when we say, may I always be careful, we are asking our teacher, we are asking our Lama to inspire us to only do virtuous deeds and abandon even the slightest non-virtues. The door to all misery is seeking satisfaction in pleasure. Having realized that there is no security in the pernicious perfections of samsara, may I be strongly intent on the bliss of liberation. Come sit down. So, all misery, all difficulty comes from working towards satisfying our own desires. Now, if we are really honest, we lead our lives in pursuit of the satisfaction of our own desires. That's what life is all about in our society today in the 21st century, with the extraordinary opportunities, the access to the ability to satisfy all our desires. That's what life is considered to be about. However, as it says here, the door to all misery is seeking satisfaction in pleasure. Well, that's really directly opposed to the aims of our society. Having realized that there is no security in the pernicious perfections of samsara, in the pernicious qualities of cyclic existence, may I be strongly intent on the bliss of liberation. So here we are asking our Lama, we are asking our teacher to inspire us to seek not the satisfaction of life within cyclic existence, but to seek liberation, freedom from the cycle of rebirth of life. That pure thought produces the great heedfulness of remembrance and discernment. May I accomplish by this means the essence of the individual vow, which is the root of the doctrine. So the pure thought, the determination, and this is something that you don't simply say, I'd like to get out of cyclic existence. It's something where you have to actually vow that you will seek not simply a better future life, but the attainment of freedom from cyclic existence altogether, freedom from samsara. And that vow is what you are here saying, may I be strongly intent on the bliss of liberation. That strong intention is in the form of a determination for which you are requesting the blessings of your teacher. That pure thought produces the great heedfulness of remembrance and discernment. May I accomplish by this means the essence of the individual vow, which is the root of the doctrine. Having seen that all beings, my kind mothers, have fallen like myself into the ocean of samsara, may I practice pure Buddhi mind, which assumes the obligation to free all living beings. So not only am I in this situation of suffering within the circle of rebirth, not only am I in this situation of suffering, but all sentient beings are in this situation. And this particular verse is referring to all sentient beings as having been our mothers. If we have been born over and over, and here, when we think about the past, the many past lives that we've existed in, um, we're not limiting it to the lifetimes that we would have been here on Earth, or within this universe, or within this, let's say, system of existence. We're talking about something that has no limits. Within this limitless um, um opportunity for lives and our rebirth, there are infinite situations where we have been born from a mother, and therefore there is not a single being we can point to and say, well, that person has never been our mother in a past life. If we really consider this, we can come to recognize that each and every being has potentially been our mother, and not just once. And if we regard other sentient beings who are in the same situation of being trapped within this samsaric existence, and each one of them has been our mother, has cared for us, has brought us up, has protected us, has enabled us to live, because without the protection of a mother and the support of a mother, we wouldn't survive. This is what begins to open our hearts and really bring us to a place of not simply feeling compassion, but feeling a sense of responsibility towards all others, all sentient beings. So, having seen that all beings, my kind mothers, have fallen like myself into the ocean of samsara, of cyclic existence, may I practice pure Buddhi mind, which assumes the obligation to free all living beings. Now, this second part of this, may I practice pure Buddhi mind, we are requesting the inspiration of our teachers to practice the mind of enlightenment, the mind that is determined to attain full enlightenment in order to properly assume the obligation to free all living beings. And unless we possess the tools, the ability to really effectively help others, it's a nice thought, and but it doesn't really amount to much. We need to attain the actual ability to be of benefit to others, and we need to devote ourselves to the process by which we develop those abilities. And what Bodhi mind is the mind that is determined to attain the state of being able to really benefit others, the state of a Buddha, the state of a fully enlightened being who has the omniscience necessary to recognize exactly what each and every other being needs in order to evolve along their spiritual path, and that we have the ability to actually inspire them along. Now, it's interesting. A Buddha is not omnipotent. A Buddha is omniscient. The omniscience is the ability to know just what someone needs along their particular spiritual journey, and to be able to provide that. Omnipotence is a power that really, that, I'll put it another way, one's the person who is making his or her way along their spiritual path must make effort. One's ability to progress is really something that comes out of one's own effort. The Buddhas can inspire, the Buddhas can lead, teach, indicate the way, support us along the way. However, the effort has to come from us. The determination, the choice to take each step along the spiritual path has to be ours. And so the Buddha inspires, but doesn't actually have the omnipotence that would remove our will, or the importance of our will. And this is very important because it's not taking away from the Buddhas. It is imposing upon us the responsibility to make the effort necessary to actually progress along the path. So we are requesting of our teacher the inspiration to assume the obligation to free all living beings. However, this assumption of obligation, this Buddhi mind alone, without cultivation of the three moral practices, does not lead to enlightenment. Having realized this, may I practice with intense effort the Bodhisattva vow. And so we must actually engage in, once we've made this vow, this determination to attain enlightenment in order to actually benefit others, we have to actually work at it. We have to take the steps along the path from that determination to the attainment of enlightenment. We have to engage in what are called the perfections, the six perfections, the cultivation of generosity, the cultivation of ethics, the cultivation of patience, the cultivation of perseverance or joyful effort, and the cultivation of the concentration necessary in order to immerse ourselves in the wisdom by which we actually attain enlightenment. By quieting attraction to objects that are false and analyzing the meaning of reality, may I quickly produce within myself the path that unifies tranquility and insight. So here we are requesting our teacher's inspiration, blessing, to work at developing the concentration, the quiet mind that is able to see through falsity, see through the false way we apprehend phenomena, the false way we apprehend ourselves. We have the fifth of the six perfections, concentration, the ability to focus the mind on a particular object effortlessly. This is a necessary tool to then apply to the wisdom that perceives the non-inherent existence of phenomena. And without that calm mind that is focused, the wisdom will not bring about an actual change within us. The mind will not have the subtlety, the depth, we can say, but I would say it's probably more a quality of subtlety that actually counters our sort of self-grasping nature and the intuitive way in which we perceive phenomena as existing inherently. When we see something, when we apprehend anything, or even think about anything, or think about ourselves, there is a quality of intrinsic or inherent or independent existence that appears to us along with the view or the sense of whatever the phenomenon is that we are apprehending. If I look at Tony here, I see I see Tony, and I can see that he's, there are eyes, and there's a nose, and and he's wearing clothes, however, even if I think of the parts that are the basis for my identifying Tony, there is a quality of toniness that I apprehend there, that appears to me, and that appears to me. That doesn't exist. If I really analyze, I will find that there is no toniness. I'm sorry, Tony. I don't take it personally. No, really.
I see no nickiness.
That's very good. I see toniness. And so in order to work on one's perceptions and actually come to a point where one can experience the sort of logical conclusion that would indicate that lack of an intrinsic existence, one needs the focus. The mind has to be able to remain focused on its object, and so we need this this calm abiding, this concentration, and it has to be used in order to deepen or make more subtle the mind that is experiencing emptiness, the lack of that quality of inherent existence. So may I quickly produce within myself the path that unifies tranquility and insight. Tranquility is this calm abiding. Insight is this realization of emptiness of inherent existence. When by this practice I become a vessel of the general path, may I soon enter the great gateway of the fortunate ones, the Vajrayana, the supreme of yanas. And as Rinpoche taught us yesterday, there are 4 levels of Tantra. If we were to follow the general path, the common path, as it is called, the path that is common to both non-tantra and tantric practice, it would take 3 incalculable eons to attain the state of Buddhahood. And that one starts counting from when one has generated bodhicitta, the mind intent on the attainment of Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. When one has actually when that vow, that commitment is really part of one's life, part of one's the way one experiences life. It is infused in our actions and our attitudes. It is at that point that one starts to work for 3 incalculable eons at perfecting the 6 paramitas to the point where one would attain enlightenment. However, by means of the practice of Tantra, where techniques are used to bring about a more and more subtle quality of consciousness, one can attain enlightenment far more quickly. So the basis of achieving, so may I soon enter the great, so we are asking our Lama, our teacher, to enable us to soon enter the gateway of the fortunate ones, the Vajrayana, supreme of yanas, the tantric path, the supreme path. The basis of achieving the 2 siddhis, the 2 attainments, is the pure vow one takes on entering the path. Having found real understanding of it, may I keep this vow, though it cost my life. So when you enter the tantric path, you are doing so with the commitment to attain full enlightenment for the sake of all sentient beings. You don't enter this practice for fun. You don't enter this practice in order to gain happiness in this life. You don't enter this practice simply out of a wish to have a better life in the future. You don't enter this practice in order to find freedom from all suffering. You enter this practice in order to attain the full enlightenment of a Buddha, in order to serve and help all sentient beings along their path to freedom from their suffering. So it is out of this very, very deep feeling of compassion towards others that you commit yourself to the attainment of enlightenment. That vow and the necessary rules that you commit to in order to keep yourself on that path are the root of being able to advance along that path. Having realized the significance of the 2 stages, which are the essence of the Vajrayana, by unswerving effort in the 4 sessions of yoga, may I achieve what the Holy Lama has taught. And so there are different aspects of the tantric path that have to be engaged in, and one actually practices these in 4 sessions a day, between midnight and sunup, between sunup and noon, between noon and sundown, between sundown and midnight. Those are the 4 sessions that one is committed to engaging in one's practice of the 2 stages, which we will not go into here, as they are stages that are to be discussed when one is actually committing to them. Tantra is considered secret. Tantra, the prerequisite, which is this determination to become a Buddha in order to help all sentient beings, is a necessary criterion for actually even hearing about Tantra, knowing what Tantra is, what these techniques are, what these stages are. May the spiritual teacher who has shown me the good path and all my spiritual friends who practice it have long lives. May I at last completely surmount all inner and outer obstacles. May I in all births enjoy the glorious Dharma, inseparable from the perfect Lama. Having completed the stages and paths, May I quickly obtain the high stage of Vajradhara. May I attain Buddhahood. So this is what Ling Rinpoche taught us last night, and I go over it tonight, and I hope that's of benefit and helpful. So we will end as we normally do by reading the where I don't know that I have the correct prayers here. Thank you. The Sutra of the Recollection of the Noble Three Jewels. I prostrate to the Omniscient One. Thus the Buddha Bhagavat Tathagata Arhat Samyak Buddha, the learned and virtuous one, the Sugata, the knower of the world, the charioteer and tamer of beings, the unsurpassable one, the teacher of devas and humans, is the Buddha Bhagavat. The Tathagata is in accord with all merit. He does not waste the roots of virtue. He is completely ornamented with all patience. He is the basis of the treasures of merit. He is adorned with the minor marks. He blossoms with the flowers of the major marks. His activity is timely and appropriate. Seeing him, he is without disharmony. He brings true joy to those who long with faith. His knowledge cannot be overpowered. His strength cannot be challenged. He is the teacher of all sentient beings. He is the father of bodhisattvas. He is the kind, noble one. He is the guide of those who journey to the city of nirvana. He possesses immeasurable wisdom. He possesses inconceivable confidence. His speech is completely pure. His melody is pleasing. One never has enough of seeing him. His form is incomparable. He is not stained by the realm of desire. He is not stained by the realm of form. He is not affected by the formless realm. He is completely liberated from suffering. He is completely and utterly liberated from the skandhas. He is not possessed with dhatus. His ayatanas are controlled. He has completely cut the knots. He is completely liberated from extreme torment. He is liberated from craving. He has crossed over the river. He is perfected in all the wisdoms. He abides in the wisdom of the Buddha Bhagavat, who arise in the past, present, and future. He does not abide in nirvana. He abides in the ultimate perfection. He dwells on the bhumi where he sees all sentient beings. All these are the perfect virtues of the greatness of the Buddha Bhagavat. The holy Dharma is good at the beginning, good at the middle, and good at the end. Its meaning is excellent. Its words are excellent. It is uncorrupted. It is completely perfect and completely pure. It completely purifies. The Bhagavat teaches the Dharma well. It brings complete vision. It is free from sickness. It is always timely. It directs one further. Seeing it fulfills one's purpose. It brings discriminating insight for the wise. The Dharma, which is taught by the Bhagavat, is revealed properly in the Vinaya. It is renunciation. It causes one to arrive at perfect enlightenment. It is without contradiction. It is pithy. It is trustworthy and puts an end to the journey. As for the Sangha, the great yana, they enter completely. They enter insightfully. They enter straightforwardly. They enter harmoniously. They are worthy of veneration. They are worthy of receiving prostration. They are a field of glorious merit. They are completely capable of receiving all gifts. They are a great object of complete generosity. The protector who possesses great kindness, the omniscient teacher, the basis of oceans of merit and wisdom. I prostrate to the Tathagata, pure, the cause of freedom from passion, virtuous, liberating from the lower realms. This alone is the supreme ultimate path. I prostrate to the Dharma, which is peace. Having liberated, they show the path to liberation. They are fully dedicated to the disciplines. They are a holy field of merit and possess virtue. I prostrate to the Sangha. I prostrate to the Buddha, the leader. I prostrate to the Dharma, the protector. I prostrate to the Sangha, the community. I prostrate respectfully and always to these three. The Buddha's virtues are inconceivable. The Dharma's virtues are inconceivable. The Sangha's virtues are inconceivable. Having faith in these inconceivables, therefore, the fruits are inconceivable. May they be born in completely pure realm.
Thank you. Very good prayer. Very good.
So maybe should we read the
All the time.
prayer for a swift return of Trungpa
You
Rinpoche?
still have it? It's still in you.
It's here, yes.
It's number 7.
Exalted wisdom of all victors gathered in a drop. Sole refuge manifest in the form of the one wearing saffron robes. Guru Lobsang Tuwang Dorje Chang.
Chang,
Please bear witness here today that our prayers may be fulfilled. We beseech the great torch of doctrine, accomplishing from long ago the vast ways of aspirational prayers, Lord of speech of the victor Losang's teachings, spreading them to the ends of the earth by means of explanation and practice. Holding the commitment, I will invite all beings to be my guests in unsurpassed great awakening. Yet you have withdrawn the activities of the form body that serves the welfare of others. Is that worthy of the supreme among beings, the Bodhisattvas? Though impossible till cyclist existence end, to abandon your commitment to liberate all beings, we beseech the new son of Nirmanakaya to swiftly return from the realm of Dharmakaya, brought forth by bodhicitta, drawn by 7 steeds. Having reached the far limits of scholarship, religious life, and goodness, please come swiftly as an unrivaled supreme emanation, full holder of the sage's teachings, and wish-fulfilling jewel. Return as the glory of Losang Tempe. Magnificent truth of the 3 precious jewels, Mahakala, Karmayama, and the ocean of Dharma protectors. May you spontaneously fulfill our wishes, the swift blossoming of the reincarnation's fresh moonlight face. Thank you.
Thank
Good
you
night.
very much. Why is it dancing all over the place? You can see when Rinpoche is walking immediately. You just shut it.